Honorable colleagues, members of ESPI, promoters of the European space activities, distinguished guests, it's really a pleasure for me to welcome you to this conference here. As a proud partner in Europe's space endeavor, as a proud partner and member of ESPI, but also as the voice for a small country, a small member state that has successfully turned niche excellence and collaboration into competitive advantage. So one thing is clear, and Ludwig mentioned it also, I think that ESPI has a distinct role in shaping European space policy because it's an independent bridge between analysis on the one side and decision-making on the other side, and increasingly active as a convener and also an advocate for coordinated European responses. So I would like to highlight three areas which are key to strengthen, on the one hand, the role of Europe in outer space, and also key to make the strength of its member states more visible, which is definitely necessary, and also how ESPI, even more now as a quasi-international organization, can support these areas with its research and policy advice. So first, when you talk about Europe as a space power, then one thing is obvious. This kind of space power is driven by the innovation from its member states. Europe's strength in space depends definitely on its innovation on Earth. So according to international studies, the global space economy last year was valued at almost $600 billion and forecasted to grow to almost $950 billion by 2033. Analysis of ESPI showed that especially private investment into European space is growing. So what comes next? This growth trajectory will shape the future of outer space because the space environment becomes more saturated with advanced space technologies. We have more commercial activities, and diverse actors are seeking to engage in space operations. So what we see is that Europe's power is built bottom-up through the diversity and also the excellence of its national innovation systems. So, of course, Europe needs special programs, we need the large programs, but what is really key is a competitive entrepreneurial ecosystem, especially through supporting startups and SMEs to foster innovation and speed. So we are talking about niche excellence, we are talking about deep tech scaling, and the national space agencies, the funding agencies, like FFG, we are bridges between the research, between the industry, between ESA and also the European programs. So take Austria as an example for a member state. Austria is a small but highly competitive economy and industry in many sectors and has a growing space sector with leading niche competences, companies also from non-space sectors entering and of course stimulating the sector. So we have a dense network of companies, of research institutes, we have targeted national programs that foster the applied excellence. The Austrian ecosystem, for example, is very strong in areas that have definitely the potential to scale rapidly when matched with investments and clear procurement pathways. So I think the role of ESPI can be to map Europe-wide value chains, to show where member states like Austria provide critical modules, where procurement, where standardization could convert niche success into strategic industrial resilience. And Ludwig mentioned also be attractive for young people. We know that Europe's space power of tomorrow is being built today in the schools and in the classrooms, in the laboratories. So it's really important to support young talents education, interdisciplinary skills to inspire young people to engage with space, with technology, with entrepreneurship. And just to mention very few things Austria did this year, the ESA Living Planet Symposium took place in June here in Vienna, offering a special program, workshops, talks, science fairs for pupils. Austria is a partner in the initiative Astronaut for a Day, and we have the now famous, really famous summer school Altbach for European engineering and science students, which celebrated its 50-year anniversary this year. Cooperation is really a core strength of Europe, and we need that kind of cooperation also for resilience and security. So Europe's space power is a team effort. All of our societies are increasingly dependent on services provided through space systems. And security and defense are undeniably important. The space strategy for security rightly emphasizes protecting assets and strengthening strategic autonomy. So the security situation in the orbit of our planet, so to say, is directly linked with the situation here on Earth. So an integrated European space strategy is essential, where the national agencies, where the ESA and also the European Union are working together. Of course, Austria supports all that kind of multilateral efforts to reduce the threats, to strengthen the space security. We are developing different activities in security, resilience, and dual use. Also here, just to mention some of the activities, the planned subscription of the ESA European Resilience from Space Program, also the European Space Shield is to be assessed for Austrian contributions, and also the Austrian Ministry of Defense is active in the European Defense Agency activities, category B projects to mention it, which means the low Earth orbit and very low Earth orbit satellite constellation. But, or let's skip the but, I would like to say and. There's one thing which is really important. Austria also supports efforts to prevent an arms race in outer space, which would ultimately come at the expense of the security and interests of all humankind. And I'm absolutely convinced that the space industry can play an active role in ensuring that space remains a peaceful and secure environment. So what we need now is a holistic discussion which different approaches can find a common home. It's like a forum where we can discuss the peaceful, the responsible use of space. You all know that Vienna is a long-standing hub for space diplomacy and hosts unique civil society expertise. So I think that this kind of discussion, this forum, could be led by, on the one hand, the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Use of Outer Space and the committee's secretariat, the UN Office for Outer Space and ESPI all together. And all three of them are located here in Vienna in Austria. So I would, if I could make a wish, I would say that ESPI should stand firm for the peaceful, sustainable, and responsible use of outer space. Because Europe's leadership depends not only on strength, but also on trust. And I think that ESPI can ensure that its studies are always linked to governance models that protect openness and international cooperation. And this leads me to my final and third area, space as a driver for sustainability and societal value. Because if you want to be a space power, this means you have to assume responsibility for our planet and society. Space applications are definitely contributors to the green transition, the climate monitoring, the digital transformation. The Austrian Space Strategy 2030 Plus, called People, Climate and Economy, is really well aligned with the ESA Strategy 2040, elevating the future of Europe. And Austria, for example, is very strong in geoinformation and environmental modeling, which makes it a natural partner for piloting EU-level services for resilience. So to conclude, I think that ESPI can greatly assist the states in shaping effective policies and governance measures for space activities. It can lead evaluations that measure socioeconomic impact, turning our abstract policy goals into measurable benefits for citizens across all member states. Session 1 and 2 of the conference tomorrow are called Building Power and Building Bridges. And in that sense, I would say Austria stands ready, and I really look forward to continuing this partnership in evidence, policy, and practice. Thank you.